Welcome to the Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey.
Hi, this is Sheila.
And this is Maria.
And we want to welcome you to The Moms I Know. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Wonderful quote from Martin Luther King Jr.
And perfect for today's topic,
which is non-toxic lifestyle, something that both Maria and I are super passionate about. And I feel like our relationship has deepened because of our commitment to a non-toxic lifestyle.
Absolutely.
You know, and I often say to people who are interested in what I'm doing and what Maria is doing is that we don't have control of many things in life. However, we do have control of what we have in our home. For the most part, we can figure out how we're going to clean our home, what we are going to put on our skin, what we are going to eat. These are things that we do have control over. So why not be less toxic when you can?
It's so important. It's important for us, our bodies, our families, as human beings, for our health. It's important for the health of the planet. And it's also important when we look at this greater sort of collective corporate world. Now we can make a difference with what we are purchasing. I heard something about women. You know, we're the ones that are buying things. We're the ones that are spending the family money. We're the ones that have the decision-making ability. So really the power of the purse is amazing. So this is beneficial for everyone. And I just heard something the other day that green living, that a non-toxic lifestyle is actually economically better as well. So we just have to have the will of the people.
It is, exactly. And that's exactly where that quote plays into. It's just like, we have to give a darn.
Yes.
You know, we do have to, because it does take effort. You know, it does take a little bit more, but it's so worth it. And I think for people, that turning point is when you're pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you start to be in that child rearing age, it's you realize that 7 generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
You realize that what you put into your children is going to also be put out into the environment, you know, and so that's really important to me. There is a book called Radical Homemaking that I read years ago when my kids were small, and it had exactly what you just said, that women have the power. Mm-hmm. And just more recently, a woman who I follow online, her name's Leah Sejadi. She is a great website called Momavation, and she just wrote a book called Green Enough, and it's the same thing. It's just like women. We need to take control. And if you go into the more, I would say, commonplace stores, you know, the organics are growing at Walmart. The organic
Mm-hmm.
section's growing at your grocery store. You don't necessarily have to always go to the natural food stores, where that's more often where I've been shopping. However, you're able to find more options, and that's because consumers are demanding that we pay attention and, you know, to get greener, to be more environmentally aware.
Mm-hmm. And when you really look at, even going back to a more simple time, we can clean our homes with just a couple of very common things that we probably have in our cupboards already. And I think back to when I was growing up, we only had a few things to clean the house with. And my grandmother had even fewer. I was always cracking up. She would just use Palmolive soap for just about everything. And back then, I think Palmolive soap was probably pretty basic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can look at those types of things. And I know you've done so much work around this. And so I really appreciate you recommending, you know, this book. And then also there was a documentary that you told me about a couple of years ago, the documentary Stink.
Oh, right,
and
right,
that
right.
was a fabulous glimpse into what the corporations are really doing and how they're getting these chemicals into our everyday products.
Right. And then some of the chemicals that are not even allowed in our country, but they're hidden under another name. And so a really great place you see that is under fragrance, for example. You can see it in food under natural flavors, and you can see it in products under natural fragrance, where there are like proprietary recipes, and they don't need to tell us what's in it. However, we do not know how those chemicals are working together. And so our bodies take on what's called a toxic load that is cumulative, which means that just because this product has some chemicals in it, oh, it's just a few chemicals, that doesn't matter. Well, they all matter because they all add up. And that really taxes your body. And especially when we think of, there's been research done on cord blood. And I don't know if we have talked about it. I know we've talked about, you and I have talked about it on our own, but the cord blood, where there are like close to 300 chemicals found in cord blood. So that's before a baby is even, born.
Right.
Like, I mean, just like days old, they're testing this cord blood and the baby is born with chemicals. And there have been what are called PBEs. And I don't know the full name, but it's an acronym they were stopped. They're made illegal in the 1970s. However, there is still trace amounts. There's still residual because it was in building supplies.
Right. So it's all around us. So, it's in the air, the toxins are in the air we're breathing. It's in the water we're drinking. It's in the homes that we're living in. So where can we make a difference? We can make a difference with what we put on our bodies, with what we put, into our bodies, with what we're feeding our families, and then what we're cleaning with, what we're decorating with, the way in which we're painting our homes, the way in which we're bringing different things in. But I wanted to clarify something. So basically, you're saying that if an item, when we're looking at the ingredients,
Mm-hmm.
We think about this with our food, of course. And if there's things in there that we don't recognize, we say, probably shouldn't be eating it.
Right.
We want those top 3 ingredients to all be food, and that's about it. But in these products, if it says fragrance, if it says natural fragrance, or in a food, if it says natural flavors, those could all be hiding chemicals and synthetic things that are not good for us.
Exactly.
Okay.
And one of the things I want to really emphasize is that when you smell something and it keeps smelling, like when, a perfect example is laundry detergent, for example. Oh. Okay. You can walk by somebody's house, and smell the garage, smell their laundry, and you get a whiff of that. Well, that's what's called phthalates. And phthalates help, is a chemical that helps fragrance stick. Okay, so that basically has been linked to hormonal issues, has been linked to that toxic load. So you want to be aware that, sometimes go into those stores and you get overwhelmed with the smell. All of those products in there, I hate to say it, they smell good for a moment, but those are toxic. And I remember probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, those were the gift giving around mm-hmm. Christmas time. Everybody was giving those.
Bath and body products, the scented candles, those
right.
are going to have synthetic scents in them, as well as possibly metal in a wick. And so, I go into people's homes and I see these synthetic things, or the plugins, or the this or that, or the air fresheners. And so we really have to raise this consciousness about every single thing. And sometimes it gets exhausting. I think about in our household, even a piece of furniture that we buy. Well, if that's off-gassing. So when our children were little, I found mattresses that were completely natural, that didn't have any chemicals added. And that was really tricky, because then there's the fire retardants right. that are added, and to the pajamas. And in that documentary, Stink, that whole thing starts around these, the father's daughters, he gets pajamas for them, and the pajamas have this horrible odor. And so he starts researching. And so when we think about the clothes we're wearing, the furniture that we bring into our home, but most of all, the cleaning products, I think mm-hmm. that's where we can mm-hmm. make such a huge difference.
So let's bring it back and keep it simple. How do we clean our house? And I just want to say that ideally you'd like a glass bottle, but sometimes we can't find the glass bottle. And so just recycle another bottle, spray bottle, and put some vinegar and water. That's really all you need. And then if you do have that glass bottle, some essential oils would be really great as well. I like to clean with thyme. Mm-hmm. And what do you like? What's your
lemon
favorite?
Is one of my favorites, especially for mirrors and glass. A little bit of lemon essential oil in with the water and the white vinegar. It's great for all surfaces. Nice. Wild orange is a nice one with olive oil for wood furniture.
Oh, great.
Super simple. Melaleuca is another one. I love thyme. That's mm-hmm. a great one. Mm-hmm. So these all have antibacterial, antimicrobial properties. And then the water, of course, extends things. And then the white vinegar has great cleaning properties. In fact, there were some studies done with hospitals and white vinegar, and it really, really can make a difference. And so we don't need to overclean, and we don't need to use substances that have those phthalates that the scents linger forever.
Right. Because bacteria is good. Bacteria is good. The other thing for cleaning, so we have the options to clean the vinegar and the water, but The other one is there's cleaning rags. They're called Norwex or H2O at home. H2O at home. Those are both like cleaning towels that Norwex has silver woven into it. And I'm not sure what the H2O at home, what their proprietary thing is, but basically they're cleaning towels and they are amazing. They come with kits and everything. If you need resources for that, we'll put that on the site as well.
Yeah, both of those non-toxic cleaning products, non-toxic rags, the essential oils, of course, both of us want to make sure you're using pure therapeutic grade essential oils, and we can give resources for that as well. And then, baking soda is another one that we can be cleaning with. And baking soda and vinegar creates that bubbling up action. If you've done those science projects with your kids with the volcano, but those you can use to clean your toilets, you can use to clean your drains.
Oh,
lemon juice.
Yeah, no, I am a pro at cleaning our drains. With 3 girls, we get hair in our drains sometimes, and I'm in there and the kids are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm making my own drain cleaner. It feels so successful. I've probably used it like twice in the last 5 years, and it's wonderful.
And what are you using?
I'm just using vinegar. Use hot water, vinegar, some salt, and baking soda.
Perfect. So these are things that we have in our cabinets anyhow. Yeah. Most of us,
And I just want to recommend the book I got it from is a great book. It's called Make Your Place by Raleigh Briggs. She's out of Olympia, Washington. And it's a fabulous handwritten book. Kind of reminds me of, remember the original Moosewood? Enchanted Broccoli Forest. Same, just like written beautiful. And she tells us everything, how to make homemade laundry detergent and everything. And it's like, you can choose what you want to do. I did homemade laundry detergent for probably about a year. And then our clothes were like, okay, needs a little bit of a boost. They were not so bright.
But also but sunshine, when you have like your cutting boards and things like that, you can clean them with lemon, you can clean them with the white vinegar and water, and then you can put them out in the sun. Our white clothing, we can hang them on the line.
Yes.
When I was growing up, oh my gosh, this is going to sound so dated, but our family chose not to have a dryer. It wasn't like they weren't available, but we always had everything hung on the line. And I remember those cardboard towels, stiff. And when we finally got a dryer, it was like, ooh, soft towels. But now what I do is I try to dry things on the line as often as possible. And then if they need a little fluff, I throw them in the dryer for just a minute at the end. So, taking advantage of the cleaning power and the drying power of the sun.
Because the sun is the best sterilizer.
Right.
It really is.
Right.
And it's just like, I love how the perspective, because less toxic is really how it used to be. Right. And now we have over, 80,000 chemicals in the marketplace, and we do not know how they work together, because you just think about it. There's chemicals for your car. There's chemicals in your home. There's chemicals at school. There's chemicals everywhere. So I'm going to bring it back into the home. We've done the cleaning, but our bodies, as we know, our skin is our largest organ, and everything we put on our skin. So you want to make sure that you are not adding more chemicals to your skin. Really, you can clean with water and, a light Castile soap. Dr. Bronner's is a great option. Or, there are tallow soaps. There are goat milk soaps. There's plenty of options for good soaps that are not loaded with chemicals and phthalates.
Now, this makes me think of, these are all really fun projects to do with our children, too.
Yes.
Homemade. Yes. Anything. Our kids are going to just dive right in and want to be doing these along with us. Now, the one thing I do make homemade goat's milk soap, and that is one that I'd say when your children are a little older and you get the gloves and the goggles and all of that, it's an incredible science project, because you are having to use lye. But when the soap goes through the drying process and the curing process, it becomes completely non-toxic. So, I invite your children in, have them help clean the toilets, clean the sinks, clean the counters. Invite them to help make these products. It's really a lot of fun. And, nowadays, if you don't have the time to do that, there are so many good non-toxic options out there.
Yeah, I love that. We have made beeswax candles, because people who like candles, well, most commercial candles really are polluting your air more than you think. And the option is the beeswax candles, which actually clean the air. So,
well, and don't they put out positive ions or negative ions or whatever it is that we're supposed to have?
So I want to also, so we talked about on our skin. So you want to make sure that you are using makeup, lotion, products that are tested it. And one place to look is called the Environmental Working Group, EWG. You probably have heard of the Dirty Dozen, the Clean 15. The EWG is responsible for that. But one other thing they do is they rate personal care products. They rate sunscreens. They rate makeup, lotions, shampoo, and conditioners and such. And so I'm going to do a shout out claim to a brand that I am a part of, and it's called Beauty Counter, which is they are beauty counter to counter the beauty industry, really. And it is a great company that I'm really proud to be a part of, because they are doing the work of educating people about this toxic load.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and they're wonderful, high quality products as well. I noticed that, professional makeup artists are using that.
Exactly.
And so,
yeah. And that's the thing.
Really,
it's just
really
like, it's products that work, because before, when you would say non-toxic makeup, it really wouldn't work so well. We were making it in the kitchen, which is fine and everything. But sometimes when you compare it to what's out there, you compare it to the MAC line, you compare it to other lines out there that stay more and everything. It's like, they're not claiming to be non-toxic, but they're less toxic.
Right.
So and that's what I like. They're full-on transparency.
Right. And you mentioned sunscreen, and that's an issue that has become really more, there's much more awareness about that. When we look at the coral reefs and how the sunscreen that we're using, and so many people then going into the water, the oceans are actually being affected by this sunscreen. And so the coral is dying. And so when we look at these products, we can actually find sunscreen that is ocean safe.
Yeah.
And so every little thing that we use, we have to think about, what are the consequences? What are the impact on the next 7 generations? And that comes from the Iroquois people, who said every decision that we make, we have to think about the next 7 generations. And I think for the past 3, 4, 5 generations, we haven't been thinking so much about what is the greater impact. And now, we've just recently heard these scientific reports where we are right now in history, where we don't have as much time as we thought we did to really change what's going on environmentally. So, just as every decision that we make, whether we're eating meat 1 less day a week, whether we're thinking about everything that we put on our bodies or in our bodies, whether, we can think about the furniture that we're buying, the clothing that we're buying. What are the bigger ramifications for this?
Yeah. And, I know that the parent that is putting that toxic sunscreen on their child doesn't love their children any less than I love my child. But I just think it's a consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this podcast, because I swear I see my friends with this sunscreen that I'm just like, oh my goodness, please do not put that on my child. And I don't mean to be rude, and I don't mean to be judgmental, but however, do you know that it's a toxic load? So sunscreen's a big one. We wear less of it, even though we are buying the less toxic sunscreen. We are even wearing less of it, because the sun is actually is good.
We need some sunshine. We need that vitamin D. And so, thinking about what hours are you going out into the sun, and how can you wear, some clothing that's covering your body, and the hats. And so, when my kids were little, we didn't even use sunscreen much at all. But I was aware of, we'd go to the beach either earlier in the morning or later in the day, and I'd keep them covered until we were out in the water. And plus, they both have fairly dark skin, so we were fortunate there. So it wasn't quite as big of an issue. But, yes, our bodies need that sunshine. And I'm really glad you brought up that point around just consciousness. It's education. And I know that 30 years ago, I didn't know as much as I know now. And I remember meeting a friend who taught me about herbs and about non-toxic lifestyle. But it was when I had, when I got pregnant, I started thinking about, oh my goodness, everything that I put into my body is affecting this beautiful growing infant. And then as a mother, starting to make more and more conscious choices. And in my family, I did get, sort of labeled the crazy one.
Oh, the crunchy one.
Right. All of these different judgments. But I think that the consciousness is growing and people are learning. And so when I see somebody that is, making a choice that I have a little bit more knowledge around, then it becomes this decision as to how do we talk to them about that. And some people, they're not really caring there, or there's an economic issue or something that is preventing them from gaining this information. And so, yes, our podcast is hoping to raise that consciousness. And also we can recommend books. We can just gently say, did you know that? Or, I have something here that I might want you to try. And so, of course, with Beauty Counter, with essential oils, with non-toxic cleaning, with less screen time, all of these issues that we're so passionate about, we can't change people. We can only change ourselves. And so we make these choices for ourselves. We start doing something a little differently. Somebody else sees what we're doing and they're interested. And then they ask questions. And then, so this is the whole idea of the Moms I Know, is that we share with the moms that we know, who share with the moms that they know. And the ripple effect goes out.
It's throwing the rock into the lake,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that ripple effect goes out. And,
right.
And, I there's so many pieces of this non-toxic lifestyle, less toxic lifestyle that I do believe we need to pay attention to. And one thing that I do with my nutrition business is I run detoxes,
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes it is there are families that come, moms and dads that realize that they need to get their home straightened up. And I think you need to, at some point or another, it's like you pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the cost is that turns people away. And I know oftentimes women come to me like, oh, my husband won't allow that. And it's just like, well, you need to give them the facts and say that, well, what we're doing is we're paying it forward to prevent, medical costs down the line, right? Because 80% of cancers are environmental.
Mm-hmm.
Like that doesn't that fact kind of scare you?
Right. But the information is in, the research is in. And so we can make a difference. We can make these choices, and we can also start a little bit at a time.
Yes.
And so,
it's
it's like with the nutrition, if we can start eliminating the processed sugar, if we can start eliminating some of those processed foods, the same thing with cleaning. Replace one thing, get rid of one, as it uses up, get rid of it. Or you can do the clean sweep and go through. And if you are doing that, I do want to recommend that you take your toxic products to the appropriate place to be recycled or disposed of appropriately. We don't want to be dumping things down the drain,
right,
because of course it all goes downstream. So most of our recycling places or landfill or dumps have places where you can take some of these things. And so, whether you use them up or whether you do a clean sweep and try to get those things out of your house and replace them with, whether you're just using salt, baking soda, and white vinegar, or whether you're getting some of these non-toxic cleaning products, making those conscious decisions around what you're bringing into your home is huge.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful that now we are in a time where it is becoming easier for people to have access to, the Honest Company, for example. I have a friend who, she runs her Instagram is the Non-Tox Shop, and she's creating her own diaper line, actually, of non-toxic diapers,
right,
and that's where a lot of these companies are born out of, is that this necessity for less toxic. And so I believe there are a lot more options and resources that we have to learn. And it is a practice, like I said, like I practiced making laundry soap for a year, and that was about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not going to do it again, but some people, that's easy for them.
Oh, I know women who they have their homemade laundry detergent, and they say it's so much more cost effective and it works just as well. And we take advantage of the sun and hanging those whites out on the line. And so, these are all, like you said, choices that we make. And I know that I'm not perfect about all of these. And I also know that I try to do the best I can. And I'm thinking about my children, my grandchildren, the health of our communities, of the planet. And so when we think about those things, it really, really makes a difference. And it becomes so important to do that. And so really just encouraging you to make those choices, to think about the decisions that you make, and to vote with your purse as well as at the election.
Yeah, from here on out, we're going to be saying a lot about voting.
Right. But today we wanted to focus on those simple choices that you can make at home, and how, as women, we really can change the world.
Yes, we can. So thank you for listening, and we will look forward to speaking to you again.
From the Moms I Know. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today for the Moms I Know. To learn more about Sheila and her online program, The Mom Map, visit purplebeetnutrition.com. For Maria's monthly blog and to learn more about her group programs and retreats, visit soquelessentials.com. That's SOQUEL essentials.com. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Moms I Know. Until next week, have a joyful family journey.